Live. Welcome to the 1:30 session. And by the way, we thank God for that, all of us. So we're going to reconvene the meeting, and we are going to start off with a bang with Miss Christina Brandolini celebrating our employees' milestones.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. Christina Brandolini, Human Resources Director. This afternoon, we have the pleasure of recognizing several employees for their service to Seminole County. Elvis Santana, Program Manager with Community Services, will lead us off recognizing Josie Delgado, Project Manager 1 with 20 years of service.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Elvis Santana, Program Manager, Community Services. I'm here on behalf of Alice Dahl. Josie Delgado has proudly served Seminole County with dedication and professionalism since November of 2005. Beginning her career as a senior staff assistant in housing, she quickly demonstrated reliability, attention to detail, including her service as an office supervisor before serving in multiple roles, supporting housing and community development. Over the years, Josie has held positions including customer service specialist, project coordinator, consistently contributing to program efficiency, customer service excellence, and project coordination. In August of 21, she advanced to become a project manager, where she continues to provide valuable expertise and support. Josie's long-standing commitment, dedication, and institutional knowledge has made a lasting impression on Seminole County, her coworkers, and the residents that we all serve. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And real quick, and Madam Chairman, after we do all these, we'll do pictures right afterwards.
Alan Harris, Emergency Management Director, has a few employees that he will be recognizing. First, we have Amber O'Rourke, Animal Services Officer with 20 years.
For the record, Alan Harris, Director of Emergency Management, Animal Services Division. Really an honor to recognize two individuals in our Animal Services Division today. Arguably, probably one of the most challenging positions in local government, I may be biased, is the position of an animal control officer. There are times that when we respond out to calls that no matter what you do, someone is upset. Either the dog is barking or you just told someone to quiet down their dog. Either way, one of those individuals is normally upset. Amber has seen all types of calls. She's been on hoarding cases, animal cruelty, bites, aggressive and dangerous dogs. And it's not all doom and gloom. Amber has also done those heartwarming things, like a lost dog returned to a family, or an injured dog on the side, or cat on the side of the road, taken back to our shelter, treated, and then seen adopted to a family. So I just want to thank you, Amber, for your 20 years of service to the residents of Seminole County, and I'm not talking about the two-legged ones, I'm talking about the four-legged ones. Thank you for your service to Seminole County. The second individual is part of our leadership team. Denise Sims has worked for us for 25 years. Denise is our front office manager. Also a very challenging position. She sees lots of things up at that front desk at the customer service area. One of the times, I'll give you we were standing up at the customer service, and we see all types of things, a dog being surrendered, and we always ask the individual, why are you surrendering the dog? Did it bite? Was it aggressive? And the response was, I got new furniture, and the dog doesn't match the furniture color. So we see all kinds of things like that, and we still have to provide excellent customer service to those individuals. And she and her,
Even though we want to shoot them.
we do, right? Darren always talks about customer service, right? And she does, and the folks up at the front desk do provide incredible customer service, even in the most challenging times. Denise has worked every position at Animal Services. Kennel worker, started at the animal control field office, so she started with the animal control officer, came into the kennel, worked in the vet tech area, in the medical suite, worked up at customer service, has supported fosters, and now leads our front office customer service, as well as managing all of our finance. So Denise, also, thank you so much for what you do for all of us at Animal Services, keeping us going straight and the money good and doing all the right things for the budget, but also the residents, and I'm talking about the four-legged ones that are in our shelters. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Matt Kinley will be recognizing fire department employees. We will start with Anthony Bowman, lieutenant with 20 years.
Try to be efficient. For the record, Matt Kinley, Fire Chief, Seminole County Fire Department. Lieutenant Anthony Bowman, 20 years of service, is a graduate of Lake Mary High School, class of 2001. He attended both EMT and fire standards at Seminole State College and is currently, finally, enrolled in the paramedic program as well. Lieutenant Bowman has received many awards over his tenure, including Lieutenant of the Year, Distinguished Service Medal. He is a founding member of the SCE Firefighter Combat Challenge Team, the Peer Fitness Team Lead, Peer Support Team B-Shift Lead, and current president of the Seminole County Firefighters Benevolent Association. Lieutenant Bowman works at Station 11 on B-Shift, serving the Altamont Springs area. Lieutenant Bowman is married to his wife Stephanie, celebrated 20 years of marriage in July of 2025. They have 3 children together, Aubrey, Braden, and Charlotte, and also a fine pass-through Station 34C shift, where many greats have come from. He's got great hair. Next, we have Lieutenant Kevin Sims. Lieutenant Sims began his fire service career with the Winter Springs Fire Department and became a Seminole County firefighter lieutenant as part of the 2008 consolidation. He's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. Lieutenant Sims has been a company officer for 22 years. Lots of children that he's mentored. He currently serves as the department's accreditation compliance officer, as well as the honor guard coordinator and a member of the department's drone team. Congratulations.
Rick Durr, Parks and Recreation Director, will be recognizing Sherry Williams, Program Manager with 20 years.
Sorry, I didn't mean to sneak up on you. So it's my pleasure to present the 20-year anniversary for Sherry Williams, we've worked together since I arrived here at the county, so I really appreciate this honor. First off, Sherry came to the county 20 years ago after some time with the Florida Park Service in the St. Johns River Water Management District with a biology degree and an emphasis in marine studies. Now, the first 14 years at the county, she worked as a natural lands biologist. And she stayed active in the profession. So she was a co-founder of the Couplet Fern chapter of the Florida Native Plant Society here in Seminole County, who continues to volunteer at the Nature Center to this day. She was a recipient of the first Women in Wildlife Award from the Wildlife Society's Florida chapter. She has served on the statewide Florida Invasive Species Council, 6 years as a board member, 3 years as an officer, and 2 years as chair. And in her spare time, she also presents at Leadership Seminole and has led educational hikes as Leadership Seminole for 8 years now. The last 6 years here at the county, she's been Special Projects Program Manager and managing the Seminole Forever program, which means she was also our liaison with the state during the Yarborough parcel acquisition through Florida Forever. And she secured the grant funding for the Spring Hammock Boardwalk and Trails project that was recently completed. And a fun fact, if you ever get a chance to visit her in her office, you will see that she is a huge fan of the movie Jaws and may have the single greatest exhibit that you could possibly find paying homage to that movie. So thank you for your service, Sherry.
Johnny Edwards, Utilities Director, will recognize Janet Ripley, Lead Distribution Technician with 20 years.
All right, good afternoon. Johnny Edwards, Utilities Director, here to recognize Janet Ripley for 20 years of service. Janet began her career with Seminole County in environmental services in October of 2005. Not surprising, as a scale house attendant for the solid waste system, not surprising that in the wake of the 2004 hurricane, solid waste needed help with employees, and Janet helped fill that need. Over the years, over the 20 years since, she's moved over to the utility side to be a meter reader, distribution technician, and now a lead distribution technician in the words of her coworkers. The descriptors for Janet, she demonstrates a strong work ethic, reliable commitment to excellence. She is a dependable team member who takes pride in her work and has a positive impact on both the team and the organization. And I know from personal experience, I see Janet towards the beginning and end of every day, and she says, "Good morning," with a smile, "Good afternoon," with a smile. It's a pleasure to be around. Outside of work, Janet is happily married with 2 dogs that keep her very busy. She's an avid bowler and a huge Miami football fan. Sorry for your luck last week. And I was going to make a joke about being a ginger, but you kind of changed your hair color, so it looks nice. But anyway, Janet, thank you for 20 years of service and being one of the many reasons it's a pleasure to work at Seminole County. Thank you.
Deputy County Manager Tricia Johnson will close out the recognition with someone who you all may or may not know, Tim Jex, Director of the Office of Management and Budget with 20 years.
What?
And he looks great. I have the privilege of recognizing someone who has quietly, steadily, and enthusiastically shaped the financial backbone of Seminole County government for 20 years, our Budget Director, Tim Jex. Tim joined Seminole County in October 2005 as a contract analyst in purchasing and contracts. From those early days, he showed he had a rare combination of technical skill, strategic thinking, and genuine commitment to public service. Several promotions followed. He moved through the procurement ranks into the budget arena, becoming our budget division manager in 2015. Then in 2023, Darren promoted Tim to Director of Office of Management and Budget. If you know Tim, you know 2 things are true. First, no one loves Seminole County's fiscal health more than Tim Jex. And second, if there's a pivot table involved, Tim has already run it 3 ways and color-coded all of the results. I always just sit back and watch the spreadsheet sorcery. He is our ad valorem avenger, the flag bearer of fiscal fitness, and the steady hand who makes the numbers make sense. What you may not know, however, is that Tim's original training ground was at Carvel, where he decorated cakes. Which makes perfect sense because for 20 years, he has taken complex layers, balanced and measured everything perfectly, and somehow made the finished product look effortless. Tim, thank you for 2 decades of dedication, leadership, and fiscal stewardship. You make Seminole County stronger, more responsible, and better prepared for our future.
That concludes our presentation for today. So if you don't mind joining us, we'll take pictures. But thank you all for your service.
Okay, now, next. Oh, man, the screen. Yeah. Oh, come on, man.
Well, I think that's actually the best part of our meetings. It is. And anytime we get to do this, that's a fabulous
That and the
opportunity.
veterans.
That and the veterans, I would agree with you. So now we're going to move on to the public hearing portion of the agenda. Proof of publications, please.
I'll move for proof.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. There's no need to ask for ex parte since we have legislative hearings only. We'll move on to item number 15, public hearing for the ordinance for the rolling hills.
And Madam Chairman, before Mr. Durr gets started, so we're going to be talking about both 15 and 16. You'll just make two separate motions at the end, so just to let the board know.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Rick Durr, for the record, Parks and Recreation Department Director. And it is my pleasure to be before you today to talk about the next steps on rolling hills. So again, we've got two agenda items. We've sort of reorganized the order on this because I think it'll be a little bit easier to follow the bouncing ball here and connect all the dots. So the first thing we're going to get started with is going over an overview on the guaranteed maximum price, or GMP. I'll try to keep the acronyms to a minimum. We'll then move into the budget amendment request, or the BAR summary. I'll then turn it over to NASA, who will then talk you through the groundwater ordinance, as well as the execution of the final version of the Declaration of Restrictive Covenant. I almost wish that did have an acronym. That was a long phrase to say. So we'll start with the GMP. How do you present what's happened over the last 4 years and the various changes that we've been through together with the community as well? So I went back to the original master plan back in October 2021, and the item that was approved at that particular time was the Passive Park Program with these 11 items listed on it. Now, granted, some of these are fairly general in speaking, and I'll mention those as we go through it. But probably, and it's number 11 on the bottom of that list, is really number 1 in our hearts, which is the FCT grant requirements. And that process right there is something that NASA will be talking about, and the tie between the FCT grant, the Jeddah Point site, and this particular site moving forward. So back in 2022, once we had the all-go from the BCC, we had hired GAI to be our design consultant for the park. We also had the roadway projects, which were then launched, as well as the utilities project and the redesign of certain utilities within the neighborhood moving forward. In 2024, after a lot of discussion with the neighborhood and in various public meetings, we had some changes that were made. Number 1 is that we originally had a playground in the mix that happened between 2021 and 2024. It was first relocated, and then it was removed to a future phase. That is still in a future phase, to be clear. We had stormwater and roadway improvements and developments that were done and revisions that were made to those plans as we moved along in that. And we had a further refined coordination between all of the projects and pulling those together into one knitted together program for both the community as well as the BCC to consider. Earlier this year, we had the selection of Collage as our CMAR as our contractor, if you will. We had another public meeting in September 25th of last year to give them an update on, and they got to meet Collage during the process. Then we had 2 quick submittals right around the holidays. The 90% guaranteed maximum price submittal, that was the first official package that we received back from Collage. We had refinements that were then made in November, and what we're bringing to you is a further refinement of those 2 submittals, bringing that forward. So overall, the overall guaranteed maximum price, I feel like a game show host, and survey says, without going over the nearest dollar, we at $20,360,000, $224,000. I should have never gone down that road. But it generally falls into these 3 buckets. We've got the park side of things that includes the trail, and I'll show you that in just a moment. We've got the roadway improvements that includes North Street, and then the utilities that will be within that particular corridor, which is being funded through the utility fund, isn't just for relocation, but it's for also upgrading those facilities. So we're improving the level of service and the future level of service along that corridor as well. Big once, that's the philosophy. Overall, we asked Collage that while they were reaching out to various subcontractors throughout the community, the ones that they have signed up within the GMP, 71% of all of the bidders on this project are Seminole County businesses. So the majority of this project is staying here in Seminole County. Good. So the overall schedule, and if you were at the public meeting back in September, we've modified this slightly to include today's date. The other major elements within the schedule that everybody would like to know is when do we get started? It'll get started as soon as we have a contract, and then Collage will begin to mobilize, and then we will begin to coordinate a groundbreaking effort out at the site, like we promised the neighborhood as well. Park construction would last till about March of 2027. The roadway is going to take longer to finish. That goes into 2027 as well, and looking at final completion date in and around August of next year. So in the park project, it includes the 4-mile trail loop. And one thing I wanted to highlight with all of this is that one of the things as we were looking at and evaluating this project and how it moved and continued to change in scope throughout the last several years is before Collage got involved, we staked out, if you will, 6 different areas within the park, within the design project, to try to isolate those costs, knowing that construction values continue to increase. So with a mind on the final budget, let's isolate those costs. Then we've got some ideas of some things to maybe evaluate when we're ready to cross the finish line and go into construction. So the roadway project, as originally was envisioned, included the 3 roadway projects. Raymond and Palm Springs were 2 parts of that. Right now, this contract focuses on North Street. So everything along North Street, reconstruction of the roadway, new sidewalks, new connections into the park, a roundabout to deal with traffic calming, and a really bizarrely located intersection at that part in and out of the neighborhood, and all of that is included within this project, and that includes the utilities along that corridor as well. So this very difficult to read slide with all the information on it, the top 6 items on that list are the 6 different areas we asked the contractor to isolate within the budget for further evaluation. As we received the bids back, working with Collage, we were able to eliminate 3 of those for future discussion. And again, all of these things, they are already designed. As you know, originally this was anticipated to be a standard construction bid, and then we shifted gears into a CMAR delivery program. So we still have the designs for those to be looked at a future date if desired. So 3 of the areas we were able to identify as being redundant to some degree, or we could give up, as well as a number of other value engineering items to total about $4.2 million worth of deducts that we pulled out of the original GMP as we received it. So what is before you at the $20 million mark includes everything on the left, which is essentially the entire design program that the board approved back in 2021. So everything from a 4-mile paved trail that loops through the entire project, associated landscape and earthwork. It will be fully ADA accessible. We have smaller pavilions, a pier overlook at Lake Jeanette, secondary pathways that are part of the FCT grant requirements. We have parking in several different areas, including the existing area, and reducing the number of overall parking spaces there. Additional street canopy, gateways and signage, and then finally the FCT grant requirements to make sure we're in compliance with the state. This also includes the complete reconstruction of North Street, along with the traffic calming. The stormwater improvements will be handled within the park, so those are part of the permitted plans at this point. New crosswalks on Palm Springs, as well as underground utilities relocation and upgrades to improve the level of service and capacity moving forward. So the associated BAR doesn't necessarily go AA. We still had some additional costs we needed to make sure we had in there. Partially that was including our design engineers to be able to visit the site during construction and give us their notes, as well as certification of the project going forward. As guaranteed maximum price means, that is the cap, which we're working with Collage on. The consultant fees in this case, another acronym, NTE, not to exceed. This will be an hourly not to exceed program, so if we don't need all those dollars, they will go back into the overall pot. Now, we still had additional funding remaining on various Rolling Hills budget items. Those have been pulled into this particular project. That includes some dollars that we had left over within the design projects, as well as utility funding for the utility piece, and that totals just north of $5 million. So the actual BAR request at this particular point is not for the full $20 million. It recognizes the $5 million that we currently have in other account lines, and then requests is an additional $15.5 million to fund the remainder of the project. And now I'm going to hand it over to Nasa to take us through items 3 and 4.
Thank you, Rick. Nasa Borker, Deputy County Attorney. So staff and I have been working diligently on the requirements from FDEP to close out the former Rolling Hills Golf Cart course site after the mitigation is all complete. So we're at the point now where all the mitigation is complete, as you know. And the last two items that FDEP is requiring are two things. One is an ordinance, and this ordinance is necessary because we have 5 properties that are not located on the golf course property. They're referred to as the non-source properties, where FDEP has determined that there may have been or may be some spreading of the contamination from the golf course. Those properties are shown here on this map. There's 5 properties. They're within the blue area just north of, you see the golf course to the south. Those 5 property owners have been notified about this ordinance and about the restrictions that are being placed on these properties. And we have to do it through ordinance because obviously we don't own the property, so we can't do it through a restrictive covenant. So the ordinance before you is the Rolling Hills Groundwater Monitoring Ordinance. It applies only to the legal description of those 5 properties, and it includes what is required from FDEP if these property owners are going to engage in one of the following activities. So they'll need pre-approval from FDEP for any monitoring wells or groundwater wells. They'll need submittal of a site plan for any dewatering activities and for any installation of any stormwater facilities. So basically anything that will dig down that could get down into the groundwater would need to be reviewed by FDEP first before they moved forward. The county would also review these two seemingly, but FDEP requires that the property owners come to them. And as I said, those property owners were noticed in person by Christian and Swinson and Mr. Durr, and they also have received multiple mailings about this. Notice was also provided to the St. Johns River Water Management District, any encumbrance holders on the property, mortgage holders on the properties. We've sent out a lot of letters. The next item is the restrictive covenant that the county has to put on our own property. So this is for the former Rolling Hills Golf Course area that's been affected. It only affects our property, and it's much the same as the ordinance. It includes the same types of restrictions on us as on the non-source property owners, except for, in addition, there are soil engineering controls and compliance with the engineering control and maintenance plan that we have approved with FDEP. We also, if you remember, this property was rezoned to PLI, Public Lands Institutional, and so it must remain in that zoning district and it cannot be subdivided without FDEP approval. So this portion of the restriction we have finalized with FDEP, but they will not give me the instructions on how to have that executed and what we need for execution until this ordinance is passed. So what we are asking for in the motion, and I'll move to that, and I'll kind of jump ahead a little bit, but the motion there'll be one motion that we need to approve the GMP and the BAR that Mr. Durr discussed, and the other motion will be to approve the Rolling Hills Groundwater Monitoring District Ordinance and to authorize the chairman to execute the final version of the declaration, which the final version of the declaration, as I see it now and as I've heard from FDEP's general attorney, is that this is essentially the final version. They have no further comments. But we'd like you to give the chairman the ability to execute the declaration along with any other instruments that FDEP may require. And those other instruments are like a resolution. They may want a formal resolution like FDOT requires when we approve agreements, something like that. And I'm asking for this in the interest of time because we really want to get this done fast. And as soon as the timing for the notice letters runs out, which is in about 20 days from now, At that point, if there's no comments back from any of the people that we sent letters to, then this will be processed forward. So in the interest of time, that is why the motion is crafted in the way that it is. And that's the end of my presentation. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions from the board?
I have a question.
Commissioner Zembauer?
What exposure, if any, do we have to these 5 property owners?
I don't know at this time I don't think that there's been any, well, I'll just put it this way. They've been on notice that this has occurred for
Sure.
a long time now.
Right.
We haven't had any, thing come from them. I don't know as far as a statute of limitations on any potential claims. I would have to go back and look at when they were advised of it, the period of time that has passed, and hopefully with the restrictions that we're putting on there and their knowledge of it, if they do decide to drill a well or do any of the things that are listed there, that they'll go through this process first, and there will be no exposure because there will be no damages.
So
didn't cause it.
if the groundwater monitoring would happen to show that there's some issue on one of those properties, what's the remedy?
Well, the remedy would be that the county would have to take the actions necessary to try to protect that property owner from anything that may come out of it. I mean, I don't know, from a engineering standpoint, what that would involve, but I can get you that answer if you'd like me to.
My concern, because I've actually was on the receiving end of one of these with groundwater monitoring, is if my ground becomes contaminated because of this, I can't sell the property. And I would suspect these 5 property owners will be in the same situation. Or could sell it to either the county or at a tremendously discounted price with the knowledge conveyed that there's some kind of issue with the property.
Well, the potential issue with the property, and I don't know that we have a full idea of what that issue is. We just
Right.
know that there's a potential for this to be the potential plume area.
Sure.
So I don't know that we can say, I know we can't say absolutely that there's an issue there. If in the future it comes out that there may be, I mean, everything in the public record and everything that the county has done has been upfront and open.
Sure.
So,
No, I understood. What I'm trying to figure out is there future exposure? If the plume does occur on those properties, I got to believe there's future exposure.
potentially.
Yeah, okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Constantine?
Thank you. But I just wanted to get it clear, anything that it is on their property or it potentially could be on this property is caused not by the county, but by the years and years of whatever happened on the property that we mitigated on our property before we even started this process.
Right.
Yeah.
I would also add to that, as a former resident of this neighborhood, I've owned 2 homes in that neighborhood, lived there for 20-plus years, that we were all very well advised of it, and advised to put water treatment within our own homes, et cetera. You were told about it at the point that you bought the property.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a public comment opportunity. Do we have any speakers forms? No, ma'am. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak? I could have sworn I saw somebody with a yellow form in their hand.
The gentleman's
You
raising
have a
his hand.
form?
For public comment at the end, Chairman.
Public comment at the end, thank you. All right, we'll hold for that. All right, hearing nothing further, I'll look to a motion. This is Commissioner Constantine and Commissioner Lockhart's 2 motions. It is, I was getting there. It is Commissioner Constantine and Commissioner Lockhart's district, and isn't it convenient that there's 1 motion for each of you?
Yes.
That's where I was going.
Okay, well, that's nice, and that's very nice of you to say, but we will move the approval of a motion to for the guaranteed maximum price and the budget amendment request as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. I'll look for a second motion.
Motion to approve the Rolling Hills Groundwater Monitoring District Ordinance and authorize the chairman to execute the final version of the Declaration of Restricted Covenants and any other instruments required by FDEP for closure of this matter.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none opposed, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
And I will point out that the document action form for this item originated in 2019.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Wow.
I'd say I lost hair over this project, but we all know that's a lie. I never heard anything of it.
And all the citizens are aware.
Exactly. Thank you so
Crazy.
much.
Thank you all.
That is crazy. All right, well, we've come to the county attorney's report.
Chairman, I have no report today.
That's awesome. County manager's report.
No report, Madam Chairman.
That's amazing. District, you're going to start with Commissioner Constantine.
Wow, that happened so fast, I wasn't ready. But
I can move on.
here we go. Just wanted to report that we had the Seminole County Tourist Development Council meeting at Seminole State College at Heathrow. And at that point, they elected chairman, vice chairman, but also we went through with our advisors and consultants, just looking at what to do with the complex, the indoor sports complex. All of you, I think, have also talked to them. So it was a very productive meeting, and there was a lot of great ideas that came out from that meeting with the various individuals. I did want to tell everybody that the Florida Association of Counties had their legislative day this past week, and both Commissioner Herr and Commissioner Lockhart were there also, and there was some good, some bad, as we always have up in the legislature. Usually in the past, in the last number of years, it's been bad. But, there are some things moving along when it comes to the property tax, which right now it's at a stalemate, quite frankly. And that blue ribbon bill doesn't look like it's going anywhere because former President Pasadoma has declared it. Well, she said, "I don't even know how to fix it, it's so bad." And that was her quote. And she's the rules chairman. So even though it passed the committee, it's got to go to her committee. And I can assure you that in Rules Committee, if she doesn't want it to go forward, it won't go forward. And there was a number of other things, but I did want to point out, and I'm not going to say anything about it because we really don't know the implications of it, but last night, an amendment was put in to a House Bill 399, which basically says, notwithstanding any provision of the county charter, the executive method of the transmittal and adoption of an amendment to the future land use element of a comprehensive plan must be affirmative vote of the majority of the members of the governing body present at the hearing. Now, in talking with NASA and Tricia, as well as I received it, I said, we really don't know exactly what that means, and I'm not going to ever comment anymore.
Isn't that what we already do?
That's where I
No,
was.
we have a supermajority in some cases.
Oh, that's right. We had that little.
Yeah.
In the charter, in the charter,
Got it.
that 83% of our citizens voted in favor of.
Got it.
And among other things, since we had it today, on the 7th of this month, the Seminole Cultural Arts Council Taste of the Arts will be held at the Longwood Community Building. The Seminole County Annual Awards for A Shift is also going to be at the community building. And Seminole County Chamber is going to have their Business Expo tomorrow at 3 o'clock at Lake Mary Event Center, and the Leadership Seminole Summit will be held on January 30th from 7:30 to 3 o'clock at the Rink of Northland. In addition to that, Commissioner Lockhart, happy 40th birthday.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll take it.
Talk about questionable math.
Let you say that, not me.
I
If
need an
said
audit.
anything, I'd be accused.
I need to see those reports. Is that it, Commissioner
Commissioner's
Constantine? All right, District 4, Commissioner Lockhart.
Right. Well, thank you very much for the happy birthday wishes. I am thrilled to be on this earth one more year and be serving with y'all. It's great. The Scottish Highland Games were held last weekend. Was it just last weekend, the weekend before last, recently? Had a couple wee drams. That's why I don't remember whether it was this last weekend or the weekend before last. It was great to see so many community leaders and elected officials out there. The organization is doing a fantastic job of bringing people from all over the region, all over the state, all over the country. I know, are still working with our tourism team to try and get the data that we need from that group to know the true economic impact of hosting that event in our county. We love having them here. It's just a remarkably fun time. It is the largest cultural gathering in any one place in the Southeast. It's pretty phenomenal, and glad to be able to host it in Winter Springs. And they did. The City of Winter Springs is an excellent executor of events like that at Central Winds Park. It's the perfect location. They do a great job. So shout out to the employees, the staff at Winter Springs for making that happen. Aerospace and Aviation Day, Seminole State College and partners out at the airport. Wonderful opportunity for workforce development and people to know about that industry that is booming, about to boom in our county. So I want to provide you all just a quick links update, and I don't know if Christian is here. At some point, I may phone a friend for details on this update about links. We've had a couple of interactions, and actually Darren, I think, has spoken with Tiffany Hawkins most recently and can probably provide even more detailed information. But as we start to winnow down these routes and the bus stops and the paraphernalia that is around the county that needs to be removed, we were notified, and I think you all were sent the same document, that Lynx is contemplating charging us a significant 6 figures to remove those items. There's also been discussion about coming up with a new formula for the funding model for Lynx that would, right now, I think the estimate is charge an additional $1.5 million to Seminole County. There's no additional services for that. It's just a way to make the math, basing the formula on criteria that changes the math that makes us have to pay more. I believe it's going to be based more on the Access Links paratransit numbers as opposed to the fixed route. So if you'll recall, one of the reasons we went down this path of minimizing our fixed routes was because we said we can't continue to afford your services. They said the way to do that is to eliminate some of your fixed routes. We did. So now it feels as though we're playing a little bit of hide the ball, move the ball, change the ball, whack-a-mole, and it's unfortunate. So I know our team is still working on that, and we're in contact with Lynx to make sure that we understand exactly what the rationale is. Tim Jex at the last Finance Committee meeting voted against. He was the sole person to vote against that reallocation of funding or the changing of the formula. Of course, given the dynamics and the setup of those committees, Seminole County is always going to be on the losing end of a vote to not charge ourselves more. The other counties are always going to vote to charge Seminole County more. So there's really no way for us to really advocate and assert ourselves in this environment. So it's a little frustrating, but I just wanted you to know that that's what's happening right now. Nothing has happened, but that is the dynamic that we're living in.
If you'd like, I could add on to this the recent information about the removal of the bus shelters, the trash cans, the pole signs. It was reported that it was a bill to us, over $600,000 was a bill to us. Actually, they said it's not. However, we are continue to work with Link staff. I did have a conversation with Ms. Hawkins last Friday. Mr. Swinson was with me when I had that conversation with her. I just needed to get some clarification. Are they asking us to pay that? She doesn't know. We said that we would assist and help with our staff to take out some of the pole signs and things where the cost is coming in to be more, I guess, more cost would be the shelters, of removing those, because there is still a life to those shelters. They may be able to use those elsewhere. And so that is to be determined on how much additional that we'll have to pay. So I got from that conversation, Mr. Swinson got it too, there's probably a bill coming to us at some point, but we have offered our assistance to help taking out some of the structures with our staff. So we're going to be coordinating with that. So Mr. Swinson is working with their staff now. So as soon as we get that information, I'll ensure that it gets back to the board of actually what else that they're going to require us. I did ask Ms. Hawkins, is that, just to be clear for my standpoint and for our board, because I said I had to report it back to our board. So if a county or city discontinues routes, it is our responsibility, meaning the city or county, to remove those shelters. She referred to an agreement that I believe she said expired back in October of 2023. I'm not for sure. We're working on that. But apparently there is some agreement that we're going to I asked if she could provide it to us, so then I could provide it to the board. So I know it's clear as mud, but more information to come. But we are working with their staff very well on this, so we just don't have a clear answer of actually what our exposure will actually be for cost at this point.
I'll start with Commissioner Constantine.
Thank
and
you.
then go around.
All that said, and, I think what Commissioner Lockhart has said, I think I'm concerned about this, certainly. But even with all that, would it not be prudent to not rush in and start taking these things down when, we haven't finished, it's a success, but it's still, it's a study. We're still adding the numbers, we're still going to do all this stuff. And to me, it doesn't make sense that we might want to add a route or take off. It just doesn't make any sense to rush in and start pulling things out until we know exactly what we're doing.
Now, if that is a direction, we need to know that because the issue is
spoke about that.
So the issue is that, as Commissioner Lockhart, it's they're responsible for those bus stops. So it's going to be garbage cans are going to be filled. They're not going to be emptied. It could be people.
I'm thinking of the shelters.
Maybe vandalizing those. So it's a risk issue as well. So, I mean, now that wasn't my understanding, and if we're looking to see possibly if these routes would come back, I need to know that, because we've given them direction that those need to be they're them. They've discontinued those routes, so they need to do what they need with those, the bus shelters and so forth. So,
Okay, let me clarify. I don't think we're going to do that. I'm just saying it seems awful rush to jump in to start doing these. Now, things that get garbage cans and stuff, I understand that. But, when you're talking about those bus shelters, as you said, they're pretty they're pretty formidable. Yeah, and it just seems to me that you would take a little bit of time before you start rushing in and doing things like that. That's all I was thinking. From their point of view, they would want to do.
Yeah.
Commissioner Zembauer?
I'm okay if you take them out. Let's have a BCC workday. I got a big tractor. Our firefighters have all kinds of things that cut and bend and move things.
He's joking, for the record. We realize there's still life in them. They're usable.
I can't imagine we will return to the bus service that we once had. But my inquiry is more, and this was something that I looked at my first budget session with Lynx. I would like our staff to look at the paratransit cost, and let's look at what our options are. I mean, I think the numbers that I received back in 2019 or 20, I think I calculated we could do it with 3 vehicles and 4 employees for the amount of paratransit work we were doing, at least then. I mean, if we're going to take a bite out of this thing, let's start taking bites. is my opinion, but.
I think it's fair to send the message back that if we're going to play whack-a-mole, we're going to play whack-a-mole back. So it would be, I mean, obviously, you can vote with your feet, and we would have to, at that point, go to market and see whether we were getting a fair value for the money for that service. It's unfortunate that they would make that happen, but that's the reality. I agree with you. Commissioner Delara, do you have anything to add?
I'd just like to add, I was going to go in the same direction that Commissioner Zimba was going. At some point, we need to be looking at paratransit and even other issues that are out there. And I look forward to staff bringing back not just a timeline, but suggestions of what are the next steps. And I'm not going to use the word whack-a-mole, but if they want to deal, and let's figure out where we need to go.
And that was my ask, is it okay that staff look into that, to at least be proactive and understand it?
I've had similar conversation with staff because we've all anticipated this happening. And so let's just cut to the quick and let staff talk to Lynx and figure out, well, we are going to work well in the sandbox, or we're going to cut the line.
I think it'll be interesting to see over the course of the next several months as Access Links riders see their costs increase, because there is an automatic escalator when the total number of fixed route mileage was reduced, that triggered, I'm looking at Christian for confirmation that I'm saying this accurately, triggered an increase in the Access Links fees, or triggered a decrease in the amount of grant funding that supplemented those fares, whichever way that was. I think some of those people will transition to Scout naturally. The riders who will have significant need for complex medical transport will still need a service like Access Links that we will probably, I'm completely on board with going ahead and seeing what's out there in the market and what that may look like, what our other options may be.
But Commissioner, I find it interesting how you've made the suggestion of relooking at the formula for the past couple of years. You've gotten nowhere until now. So I commend you for actually moving the needle.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It was interesting. Mayor Demings at a meeting back in the fall, at a Lynx meeting, his comment was perhaps we need to look at the structural organization of Lynx. Basically, if Seminole County is going to be making this massive change, and if they're not going to really be a part of this group hug with us, then maybe we need to look at whether, and I interpreted that to be his questioning whether or not Seminole County should participate in Lynx. And I think it's a very valid question, and I think we perhaps ought to look at that as well. If we're not going to be 100% partners, does it make sense to be 10% partners? I don't know, but I think his comments may have been construed by staff to mean, well, I don't know. I don't know. But my understanding is that, Lynx staff, it took some kind of commentary that was made from some other member jurisdictions of Lynx that Seminole County that we need to relook at how Seminole County participates, and that has morphed into this change in formulation for funding. So keeping that on all of your radar, because this surely will be an item that will be coming before us at some point during the budget process, for sure. Also, just to let you know, Mayor Dyer has been elected the chairman of Lynx and Sunrail and the Expressway Authority this year.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. I wish him well.
Yeah, his hands full.
He does. Tomorrow, I am going to be serving on a panel for the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools, talking about the future of education, along with Guy Cunha and some other members of the community. Looking forward to that. And Commissioner Constantine talked about the Business Expo. A lot of great things going on. Everyone try and stay warm. Bring your pets inside and your plants. It's going to be a really, really, really cold weekend. So. And be safe with your space heaters and however you plan on keeping your house warm. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Delara.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make it brief. First, I want to thank the City of Winter Springs for their Scottish Highland Games, as Commissioner Lockhart mentioned. The County Fire Department was there, and they were quite busy during the day on various issues. So Chief Kinley, your staff was doing a phenomenal job, as well as Mr. Gray. With MLK on the past Monday, I'd like to thank the Citizens in Action, as well as the City of Oviedo, for the fine job they did putting on the parade in the Oviedo area. And then, as we just talked about, a little bit about Scout and the microtransit, I want to thank Christian, as well as Chris Patton, for presenting to the Community Alliance group a lot of the 501c3s they presented to, and they had a lot of good questions, a lot of great presentation, and I think it was very well received. And I think there'll be a lot more involvement from their perspective now with this new transit system that they had questions about. So, well done. Just want to let you know the feedback that I've gotten. In my report.
Commissioner Zimbauer.
Thank you. I appreciate my fellow commissioners taking a few off my list for me. January 27th, today is International Holocaust Day. It's also National Chocolate Day without arsenic.
Chocolate cake day.
National Geographic Day as well. On 122, I spoke at the League of Women Voters related to the impacts of the loss of ad valorem tax if that were to occur, and if the citizens, if it actually made it to the ballot and the citizens would decide they didn't want that. And I appreciate staff support on all the details and background work, and Tim's presentation that he had previously used was very helpful. Saturday, February 7th at 10 a.m. At the Oviedo's American Legion, Post 243, is hosting the Four Chaplains Memorial. For those that aren't aware of that, that is the sinking of the U.S. ship Dorchester by the German submarine in 1943. In addition to that, same February 4th through February 8th is the Winter Carnival at the Oviedo Mall. It'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You can find the information on the internet on the actual times of being open. Also on February 7th, this is something for the kids. It's called Where Creativity Meets Kidpreneurs, where the kids can come together with their arts and craft and have an opportunity to put a sale price to them and sell it to the general public. That'll be at the Oviedo Mall, also from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday, February 7th. Outside of that, I want to inquire and let everybody know, House Bill 103, Senate Bill 650, which is the business tax receipts, which I've been asking that we consider doing away with last year when I made that inquiry. And we're always quick to say, home rule. Maybe we should be making a move before the legislature makes a move on this business tax receipt item, at least get it in front of us, or we can just let them handle the home rule. We can take the victory lap, or they can take the victory lap.
And real quick, if I could just, on that note, it is, we're going to bring that to the next commission meeting, so that will be on our agenda.
Good. And then finally, it's not a very good picture. I know some of you may have it in your districts, I'm sure you do, but in my district it sort of sticks out like a sore thumb because it's so obvious, because we don't have the development that we have, which are these loss of family members in a car accident, roadside memorials, which I understand it, I get it 100%, but one, you might have football memorabilia with a big cross with somebody's jersey on it and all kinds of other things that are close proximity to the roadway. Other jurisdictions around the state, including the city of Oviedo, have developed what they call lollipop signs, which are a round sign. I think most of us have seen them. DOT uses a similar thing. Is that something, I would like staff to look into the possibility that we consider doing something there, have a process for people to apply to do that instead of having this, because then what happens, like in my district, something gets blown away and then we trash complaints about stuff blowing away. Then they got people out there that got to mow around it, clean it up, and people just keep bringing stuff to it. So I'd like to support my fellow commissioners to at least ask staff to look into that process. If it can be done, what are the costs? How would you do it? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, and we'll probably just pick up from the other municipalities what they're doing may be helpful.
Commissioners?
So is it the intent that the lollipop would replace the paraphernalia, or would the
Yes.
paraphernalia surround the lollipop?
Have the paraphernalia gone, and I think some jurisdictions allow, like, by example, some flowers, but they don't allow, like, a bicycle that they used to ride, or a Harley Davidson sign next to it, or whatever it might be.
I'd be curious to look at another jurisdiction's language.
We
I
could.
would as well.
Thank you.
I will tell you, it is a big problem in Volusia County.
Yeah, yeah.
They're-
Well, it seems,
They're massive, and people are standing on the side of the roads in very dangerous places
Right.
doing things at these, and
Yeah.
so we're probably headed in that direction.
right. In the rural area, it sticks out like a sore thumb because there's no stores or anything a lot of places.
Yeah.
Just, it's there. So thank you all very much for that support. I appreciate it sincerely. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right, well, I took part in the Highland Games as well in the form of a whiskey tasting. And I learned that I don't like it. I don't care how expensive it may be or how old it may be. It is not my thing.
Oh, what it tastes like, right?
Yeah, I now do know what it tastes like. So next year, I may take part in something different. On the 14th, I did participate in the PBAS meeting, which was a discussion around why Seminole County wins, and it was a discussion with BNY Mellon and their relocation here and some of the things that were considered as they were moving, and Guy was instrumental in pulling that together. PBAS is working with him on some other items as well. Darren and I did meet with the city of Sanford to discuss the JPA that has officially expired, and work is being done on that, and regular meetings have been established to move it along. On the 16th, I did send a letter, you were all copied, to the constitutional officers around the expectations with regard to the upcoming budget session, with the notion that last year we did hear that it was somewhat of a surprise where we were, and I'd like for there to be no surprises. So we're at least opening communications early on in that discussion. I did attend the mayors and managers meeting, my first mayors and managers meeting. We did have to leave early because we were headed to Tallahassee with a dinner date that we had to make, but just wanted to let you know that. I'm going to pick up where Commissioner Zembauer left off with the 4 chaplains presentation to be done by the Oviedo Memorial post-American Legion. They are also planning on doing a larger project with that to have it represented in Seminole County. I think Darren will be socializing that with all of you. This is not going to be a cost to us as their intention, but we will be involved in the process to get it into the right place within the county. So be on the lookout for that. And it's Commander Laurel Russ that is heading that up. You all know I was in Tallahassee. We did have 3 very productive meetings with our team that were about 15 minutes each. Tricia then, I think it was Tricia, went to the 4th meeting, which was 5 minutes. So we met with the entire, 4/5 of the delegation. And good work done. I'll stop there. I truly do believe that we need to be lobbying when they are in town. 15 minutes is not enough. I think we all do that. I just want to point that out, that because I did say that and announce the times, that that's not the only effort that we're making. Tricia did an outstanding job along with Southern at navigating the field for us, making sure that we got in the right places, and is continuing to do an outstanding job at monitoring all the things that are happening. I do have an additional data request at the risk of, I don't want to bring this back up, I don't want to have a discussion about it, but I do want to tell you that I am going, this is a disclosure issue. I do want to tell you that I think with regard to the Arts Council, what we asked for, we got. So there's a literal interpretation of what we asked for. What I would like to see next is a list of all grants awarded, and I would be happy to go back 3, 4, 5 years, as long as they can give us the data, the amount, the receiving organization, the date it was awarded. I don't even necessarily know that I need the date of the check, but it would be interesting to see that. I'm negotiable on that, and the grant purposes/outcomes. I think had we had all of that, we could have abbreviated the conversation, and I think it will be helpful as we're walking through what we need to put in this contract. So, here, I'll pass that down to the county manager. He's writing feverishly.
Thanks.
And I was going to announce National Chocolate Cake Day because that is near and dear to my heart, but I won't. And that does conclude, yes?
Related to, I don't know if it's a chairman's appointment or a board appointment, but I was appointed to the Juvenile Justice Advisory Board, and it conflicts with both the Lynx and Sunrail meetings. It's the same day of the month, third Saturday, or third Thursday, whatever it is. So I don't know, again, I didn't look to see if it was a chairman or board appointment, but I will need someone to replace, we got to change that. We need somebody else.
What day is it?
I think it's the third Thursday. It's whatever Lynx and Sunrail are.
Would you like to do
More
it?
happy to do it.
We have a volunteer.
I'm gonna say,
Mr. Delary.
either that or I did it last year. I'm happy to keep going.
Whatever you feel
Whatever
is
y'all
appropriate.
figure out.
I don't know who the appointment is either. I think Commissioner Delary was first. We'll spread the wealth. How about that?
Okay, thank you.
Maybe we should vote on that in case it is a board appointment. Let's
Yep.
I'll
Make the motion.
Motion for Bob Delary to go in the Juvenile Justice Board.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
The other thing that I forgot, forgive me, but Commissioner Herr reminded me when she was talking about our conversations in Tallahassee. One of the things that came from those conversations with our delegation is we found that it is entirely likely that the CFO did not receive the letter that we sent back in October, November. Multiple attempts to follow up led us to, the cat ate my homework kind of, the dog ate my homework kind of thing. And at first I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But I think they really did not receive the letter. It did not get to the right person in that organization. So I would just ask if we could either reissue that letter through certified mail and email to the chief of staff and the CFO. I don't know if we want to just reissue the same letter, send a different letter, whatever it is, but I think.
Probably ought, if you think they didn't get it, I'd send all the letters, just copies of them anyway.
Is that,
We have it all.
That was going to be my question. There were multiple letters.
I would love to reissue them all if the board is okay with that.
I'm
because
fine. Good with that.
Yes, Commissioner Constantine.
Speaking of property tax, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about an exercise of some of our fellow counties.
Can we hold that thought for just a minute while we decide on the letters?
Oh, I
These
thought
letters
we
were,
already had.
I'm sorry, these letters were related to the clerk, not to property taxes. It was to
Oh, okay,
the
I'm
clerk's
sorry.
audit and, yeah.
All right, yes.
So if it's the wish of the board to reissue the letters, how about we work together, county manager, county attorney, and I work together to assimilate all of them, do all the checking, and we'll send them. What I'm hearing is you want them tracked, so certified return receipt and electronically.
Yes.
So we'll take that on. I'm sorry, Commissioner
No,
Constantine, you're up.
please, I thought we had.
Well, actually, is anybody going back to Tallahassee anytime soon? I'll be going by there in 2 weeks. I'm happy to hand deliver them.
Try to get to the CFO.
You're still going to be delivering them to a random person. I personally like the idea of tracking it so that we know where it went. We know how to follow up from that point.
Maybe.
And if you want to drop it off too, go right ahead.
Commissioner Constantine?
Thank you. So some of our fellow counties, in lieu of what's happening with the property tax, taking from the worst-case scenario of what they originally talked about and eliminating it over the course of time to some of the more, I'm not going to call them reasonable, but other proposals that are being presented right now, they're going through before the budget process, going through their own process of what would happen legitimately if this was to go away. And it has had, and they've done it publicly, and it has made quite an impact on the residents in some of these counties when they did that. And I'll just give you an example of one. But what I'm saying is in that situation, remember, this is going to have to be voted on by the people. So we cannot lobby, but I think it would be incumbent upon us that we showed the constituents what would really happen. And I'll give you an example for just Wakulla. After they went through this, Wakulla County said, if this happened, we would close. And they weren't trying to be, like let's scare they were doing legitimate, here's the money we have left. We'd have to close all the parks, all the libraries, all the park activities that are part of that. A large percentage of the roadway improvement, and close your ears, Alan, animal control. And that, they said that, and that had, when they showed that to the citizens, the city, I don't have to tell you what happened with what the citizens had said. That's hitting somebody in the gut, every single person in the community, in the gut.
Well,
Commissioner Lockhart?
I think this county went through a similar exercise in 2007, 2008, right?
I wasn't here, I'm sorry.
I know, no. I'm not.
Yes, we did.
I'm confirming what you're saying, because you really don't know until you sit down and look at the numbers with people sitting around the table what you would do. It's an honest to God gut check of the priorities of the budget and how far it whittles down and how quickly you get down to the very bare bones of delivering services. And it's not, to your point, Commissioner Constantine, it's not alarmism, it's reality. There's either money to pay for stuff or there isn't money to pay for stuff. And I heard that some of the counties were doing that exercise. They were sitting down and actually going ahead, kind of like you do for emergency planning, like you prepare for hurricane season, you have your exercises. Would it make sense to do a similar type of budget exercise coming up here, maybe more toward the beginning of the process,
Yes.
and adding that to the plan? I don't know.
Commissioner Zimbauer?
well, the good news is, and I would support that if it's what the majority of the board wants to do. The good news is our staff's already run the numbers, and I would tell you, at least my experience on the two groups that I've spoken to about this, they get it.
Yeah.
They understand that 15 or 17% that remains is all the services that we provide. And when you start asking them, which one of these would you prefer to cut? I mean, I'm sure each one of you are like me. I've not got an email or a phone call of any citizen wanting us to cut any service. Any. I mean, there's some that want some more service, but.
Mr. Hyde?
They may want to cut one, but not the others.
But I've not had people reach out to me and say, stop fixing the potholes, stop fixing the sidewalks, we don't want parks and recreation, close the libraries except for 2 days a week. I've heard none of that. So if you all want to take that exercise, I'm happy.
Well, as I know, the staff has already started running those things, and I think it's a legitimate exercise for us to sit there and fully explain, because we, in total transparency, what we do and what this would involve. Now, I think that when finally also we know what goes on the ballot, if anything, I think we would need to do that also. But I really believe that right now, it actually almost like, and many of you have talked about this, or we have seen this, zero-based budgeting. Also, basically, before we start our exercise for our budget this year, do this exercise and show zero-based budgeting. This is what would be. So that would just be a thought that I think, no new ideas. It's just that some of these other counties are showing a real impact with their citizens about what this would happen.
So I would agree with the process. I would add to it, though, that it should be a balanced approach, and that is that, because there is discussion of other funding sources that would be generated through the state, such as an increased sales tax, that we run that math. What does the sales tax have to be to make us whole? Because I think people would be surprised by that. And and that's an open discussion. I don't think we can only show one side of it, but, and maybe there's iterations of that.
Along that line of thinking, I think it would be interesting to find out from Tim Jex or whomever, that sales tax would get washed through Tallahassee first. A significant portion of it would be used for the counties that are fiscally constrained, and then we would get a portion of it back, which wouldn't be the full amount that we give. But, so I don't know how we would know what that dollar amount would be that we would get, but I believe, I understand what you're saying.
So that was the terminology of iterations of that. There would have to be iterations of not only the amount of the percentage of the tax, but there would have to be a handicapping of if we were a donor county. We're
we
a donor
are.
county
Oh,
with the school
definitely
district.
are.
We're very well aware of how that works. And it's painful, but we would more than likely end up being a donor county. Based on our
Yeah.
geography, we don't have shoreline, and our density.
You know,
It's simple math.
both of what you say, both of you make excellent points, and I will just add to another thing. We don't really know in the sales tax, because anybody 50 miles to another state can drive up there and get their refrigerator.
Right.
Or whatever else they want to get if they wanted to do it in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, whatever. And that cannot take in. One of the things that I found out when I was up in Tallahassee that I think we all suspect, but it was put into plain language to me, the reason you haven't seen a plan from the executive is because what they're realizing is it would bankrupt the state. To take property tax from us would bankrupt the state. And so they haven't figured out how to do it. Now I think, like others are trying to find exit ramps, they're trying to find exit ramps off of this. And the latest version is they'll come up with some homestead
Additional homestead.
to put up on the thing. When, as I said, even way back when I was in the legislature, you want to fix property tax, eliminate all homestead, all save our homes, everything, and have a true valuation of the home, and 80% of the people would be reduced taxes, and 20% would pay more. It's the 20% that they don't want to pay more that they're concerned about.
All right, well, are we good? We have direction? Do you have direction?
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to remind the board, so on March 10th is our first budget public hearing where Mr. Johnson will come as well as Mr. Jex. And I think we could keep this ball rolling
Keep it
and kind
going in
of
there.
talking about it as well.
Good discussion. We have come to the public comment portion of the program.
One speaker, Ms. Chairman, Ron Lightheart.
I'm sorry to have to have woke you up back there.
Ron Lichthart, 1036 Winding Water Circle. Gefeliciteerd met je verjaardag, Amy. That's a different language. You'll have to figure out which one it is.
Can you repeat that?
Was it?
Gefeliciteerd met je verjaardag.
Okay. I don't know that one.
I picked on you about Hurricane Amy last time, so therefore I'm making up for that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Duo language, somebody Google that one.
Okay,
See
since
if
I
it's
don't have
on
much
video.
time here, so, I was here, of course, during the millage hearing. I have to be honest, I didn't like some of the inputs that came afterwards, so, that evening. So, now, I have to admit, I didn't like my 3 minutes of free speech either, so we're on the same foothold there. But, as you know, I made comments about pensions. And look, I know it's not going to change over here, but as you know, the police chief, sheriff, responded to it too afterwards. I'm not going to argue with that. That's his right, or whatever, right? But here's the part I didn't like. He made some huge political statements here in these chambers. You think that's wise when you have an employee retention problem? I don't think that was wise. We all know it's very, very, very polarized out there. So that's my comment there. And I did reach out to him several times. So far he's been too busy, but which is fine. I'm okay with that. So, but I'm not going to keep chasing him either. So, Another comment, Mr. Bob Delary, we actually talked many years ago, and I think the last time I saw you in Winter Park, we had a little talk. I've seen you other times, and I think you've forgotten who I was, but I was the one that shot down your Happy Meal analysis many years ago here at Seminole County. But you made some comments about cost. We're doing everything at cost, versus the private sector where we do it for profit. So I work with government a lot for the last 35 years. But I'm going to strongly disagree with that comment because, as an example, NASA, nonprofit, right? To launch 1 pound of steel into orbit, $70,000. SpaceX, for profit, 1 pound of steel, $2,500. Okay, it's an extreme. But to me, that doesn't make sense. I'll be more than happy to ever discuss that with you. Only have 15 seconds over here. I've lived in West Africa, North Africa, and Europe. I'm an immigrant, and I'm despised as to what's going on with ICE. I despise this entity. I know my time is up, but I'm really nervous about what's going to take place over here because, as you know, ICE is on our back door. So I would like to talk more about it, but my time is up because I can share a story where I'm a legal resident here in the United States. I became a U.S. citizen, and in simple terms, again, I don't have the time, but I did everything right, no criminal record of any kind, you name it. But the bottom line is, if I became a U.S. citizen during this Trump era and ICE was involved, I could have been deported.
Thank you so
much. For doing everything right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think that brings our meeting to a conclusion. Meeting adjourned.